Hello everyone, welcome back to another PMQ stream. Did we do one last week? I can't remember. We are back though. We are going to be covering a rather interesting week in politics anyway, because Boris Johnson kind of got almost fired, which I found highly amusing because he should have been, but he isn't, which, oh dear. Well, that shows some real backbone of his own MPs to oust a man who has lied to Parliament, deceived Parliament knowingly and willingly, and been busted on more than one occasion doing silly things. Because, he's an idiot. It can't be helped, I guess. So what we're going to do, we're going to pull up PMQs. We're going to go through some of it. Perhaps offer some critique where critique is required. And if we're lucky, not make a complete and utter tit of ourselves. Although it is still likely at this point. So before we start, hello Cyrene, hope you're well. Hello Takeout Joe, hello Michael. I'm not even going to try and pronounce your last name. I have never tried, I don't want to cock it up. Hello Deep Dive Gaming. Hope you're all well. Hope you're all having a fantastic day. If you're watching this live or on playback, please consider smashing the like as it really helps this channel. I really appreciate it if you would. Hello Charles K. Hello Charlie Church. Oh, two Charlies. Hope you're all well. Hope you're having a good Wednesday. It's been a good Wednesday here, minus the odd weather. Apparently we'll do a thunderstorm. Have been all day, in fact. So naturally, I have glare in my left eye from my window. That's British stormy weather for you. Yes, nice and sunny. It's when during the summer it says, oh, it'll be nice and sunny outside and you end up with a thunderstorm. Then you know you're really in England. Okay, so let us move over here. And here, yes. I'll pull up the chat. Hello, Leona. Hope you're well. I am starting a little early today. Do forgive me. Do ignore the... Well, I don't have to ignore it, but... hello, Yempi. Yes, right. So, I'm going to briefly explain what happened before we dive into this, actually. Hello, Nephabeth. Earlier in the week, was it Monday? Yeah. 50-something MPs for the Conservative Party submitted letters of no confidence in Boris Johnson. Now, that was enough votes by MPs in his own party to trigger a vote of no confidence. Now, naturally, the opposition benches are all going to vote. They have no confidence in Boris if they had the chance to. But this did not concern them. Oh, and yes, if you'd like to support this channel, that Ko-fi link, Coffee link is ideal, as I have a current Streamlabs goal to help me finish my log... not Streamlabs, Ko-fi goal on that site to help me finish my log cabin. Thank you. Hello, David Nevin. Hope you're well. 50-something MPs, 54, I think, 52. It doesn't matter, it's 50-something. That's an accurate number. This vote is the 1922 committee, headed by Graham Brady, and the point was they had to have a certain number of votes. I think it was a third of the party. Was it a third? I don't know. It had to be over 150-something. Again, nice and specific, because I've completely forgotten. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to go back here, right? I'm going to go and get the bleeding number. No confidence vote. Right. Let's see. Okay. So, PMQ won a no confidence vote despite unexpectedly a large rebellion. He held on to by winning 211 to 148, but 40% of Tory MPs failed to back him. Now, I believe he had to... it was either 150 votes that was needed to get rid of him, or it was just over half of them. And that would make sense, actually, over half. Because then, if they have no confidence in him, he has to step down. The only person I know who lost a no confidence vote and stayed was Jeremy Corbyn, but he was leader of the opposition. Theresa May had a no confidence vote when she was the Prime Minister, and she won, but her margin was nowhere near as bad as this. She never, not like this. Honestly, absolutely, yeah, no, no. But she resigned 6 months later anyway. How many votes to oust Boris? Let's find out, because I've completely forgotten. Oh. I can't find it. Alright, it doesn't matter. Hello, Orla Seraph. Hello, John Birchall. Hope you're all well. We're going to go straight to the video then. But yeah, Boris survived that vote. And that is probably, more than likely, now going to make up what happens here. And this is going to be interesting. Because, yet again, you're going to see another masterclass from Boris Johnson on how to not answer a question. And this is where I have to admit, Theresa May didn't really answer questions much either, but she never brought the House into disrepute. And nor did she at any point lie to Parliament. David Cameron didn't either, but David Cameron was very good at answering. When he was in office, he had this way of just saying it. And because of that, no one can really say he wasn't a man of his word. He said he'd give us the chance to vote on Brexit, and we did. He had to survive the Tory, Scottish independence vote, I believe. He had to survive a few things. Austerity was the worst one for him, I think. Brexit, he should have stayed, I think. I personally believe David Cameron should have stayed. Because Theresa May was a weak leader, and I think Boris, no. Who do you think was behind this rebellion? Remainer MPs has been the front-runner, Charles. Remainer Tory MPs are the front-runner. Well, that's who Jacob Rees-Mogg believes it was. Not that it matters. All votes are anonymous, and you can never know who voted on it. It wouldn't matter anyway. It really wouldn't. But we'll see how Boris handles, knowing that 40% of his own MPs don't like him, don't agree with him, and want him gone.
Before we come to Prime Minister's questions, I would like to point out that the British Sign Language interpretation of proceedings is available to watch on Parliament Live TV.
Should I have a small glass
we
of
now
whiskey?
start with questions to Prime Minister Dame Angela Riedel.
Question number 1.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, this week is Carers Week, and I'm sure the whole House will want to join me in thanking the millions of carers across the UK for all they do to support their loved ones.
Small glass of Hay Club Orange, that'll do.
Carers have played
Smells good. Right, put that there to the side.
And we all owe them a debt of gratitude.
Not that anyone ever does anything to actually help carers. They are massively overworked and hugely underpaid. My mother used to work in care. Two of my sisters used to work in care. Well, they still do, but they work in a different sector now with my nephew. My mother, of course, no longer with us. But they were overworked and underpaid. When they got paid, they were so excited. But then when they paid the bills, they were like, okay, of the 200 a week I'm making, they had about 20 quid for themselves. No Glenkeith. No, I moved the Glenkeith, Leona, to my cabin. No. We're not going to drink Glenkeith until the time is right.
Through our
But I will have a sip of my Hay Club Orange here.
Social care, this government is committed to continuing to support carers.
Nom, nom.
And Mr. Speaker, this morning I had meetings with ministerial colleagues and others. In addition to my duties in this House, I shall have further such meetings later today.
I've got to say, for a guy who has this amazing head of hair, quite frankly, it has to be. He has a hairstyle that, I mean, that's something I used to have when I was younger, but it was a lot longer. It was just everywhere. For him in high office, it does look very un-prime ministerial, not. But at the same time, it is very much Boris.
Dame Angela Riedel.
Thank you very
So Angela Riedel used to be deputy for the party and did PMQ sometimes. She is a brutal person to be up against. Hello, big bad Wolfie. How long do you think Bojo will last? Some don't think he'll last a year now. William Hague, Lord Hague, formerly the... he tried to become Prime Minister, I think, didn't he? He said that Boris won't survive the year. I do agree with him. He has, 2 years before next election? The party's got to rebuild its credibility, and he can't do it right now with this cost of living. Fuel's about to go up even higher this Thursday, and they reckon it will go up by an even bit, like a 10% increase. That's a Huge increase.
Very much, Mr. Speaker. May I associate myself with the Prime Minister's remarks about the importance of carers in our country. This week's events, Mr. Speaker, have demonstrated just how loathed this Prime Minister is. And that's only in his own party.
40%.
So, as his administration is too distracted by its internal divisions to deal with the challenges we face, can the Prime Minister explain if 148 of his own backbenchers don't trust him, why on earth should the country?
So I don't think the country will trust him at all. A lot of those constituencies, many of them are in Scotland, understandably so, they feel betrayed. A lot of them are Remain voting areas that feel he has failed on Brexit, even though he's delivered on Brexit. It's kind of a weird one because it depends on where you are in the country, to where you benefit from us leaving or not. This question of should the country... The thing is, no Prime Minister is trusted, really, are they? They're a politician. So the question's loaded and redundant at the same time. I can turn it up if you need me to, but I'd have to shout over this.
And I can assure her that in a long political career so far, I have, of course, picked up...
Bit too long, maybe, because you're starting to go a bit senile, mate.
Barely begun. I have, of course, picked up political opponents all over the place.
I don't think there are so much opponents, more... I mean, in your own party, holding you accountable for, you know, this sham. Oh, you want this... Yeah, you might want to turn that audio up. I've got this loud in my ear. If it's not loud enough, let me know, Chad.
This government has done some very big and very remarkable things which they did not necessarily approve of. And what I want her to know is that absolutely nothing
True,
and
Cyrene,
no one,
true.
least of all her, is going to stop us with getting on for delivering...
Such a stern look. I think that least of all her remark is because she almost... she was second in command of Labour under Corbyn. Well, I think she was. No, she wasn't really, but she kind of was. She was the fault... because the second in command was that fat git with the glasses. The curly hair, I can't remember his name. But she was kind of the second in command voice for the party. And she probably would have continued as such. So that's his remark. His answer is to not answer the question, but to try and dab on people.
Andrew Mitchell.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. The whole House will unite behind the Prime Minister on
Loaded.
his determination to hold Ukrainian war criminals to account.
Reasonable. See, that was almost loaded for a second, wasn't it?
But is he aware that there are 5 alleged Rwandan war crimes perpetrators living freely in the UK?
Are they claiming state welfare? Tom Watson, thank you, Cyrene. He was a twat.
16 years.
He accused some people of being kiddie diddlers. He's an absolute idiot. He took the side of Carl Beach, who did the whole thing against politicians, calling them some of them kiddie diddlers, didn't he? And he was proven to be an absolute moron.
And have neither been extradited nor put before the British courts under our existing laws.
So, what do you want to do? Send them also to Rwanda? Or where do we send them? Uganda, Rwanda? Do we send them to Rhodesia? We send illegal crossing immigrants to a country now, don't we?
As he prepares to go down to the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Rwanda, will he look carefully at this issue, because it is bound to be raised with him, and will he reassure the House and the Rwandan government he takes these matters extremely seriously, and what has so far been justice massively delayed for 16 years will not be grotesquely denied?
So, just a quick thing, Big Bad Wolfie mentioning Scotland. We're going to talk about them later anyway because of the paper pervert, and he has some things he wants to say concerning independence, even though I don't believe the current claimed independence vote is in fact legitimate, and the fact that the SNP essentially hold the majority of seats. Yeah, they're a one-party system right now. Once they've served their purpose, what happens then? Do the people actually change their mind, or they just keep them there because they really help the people of Scotland? No. Hello, Lisa. Hope you're well. Hello, Lulubell. Hope you're well. Haven't seen you in a while. Not since Twitch.
Prime Minister.
I thank my right honourable friend for his question, and he raises an issue on which the UK has campaigned for a long time, and no country is more committed than we are to bringing war criminals to justice. I know that my right honourable friend, the Deputy Prime Minister, has raised the subject recently with the International Criminal Court.
Please share.
However, as he knows, and I will certainly, of course, study the case and take it up as appropriately. It is the subject of an ongoing investigation. It would not be appropriate for me to comment on it further.
So just before Starmer speaks, you would have noticed Rishi Sunak, the Chancellor of the Exchequer, a few seats along next to Sajid Javid. The reason I mention him is because of this vote against Boris. Jeremy Hunt was trending on Twitter. Now, Jeremy Hunt was formerly the, was he Home Secretary or Health Secretary? He's one of those two. And some have called for him to take Rishi Sunak's place, solely to then quell those that then wanted to get rid of Boris. Because I think Hunt voted to get rid of him. And Hunt, I mean, he looks like a twat, but you've got to admire the guy's conviction. This is the same guy who forgot his wife's nationality was Chinese, which is hilarious when he showed a level of ignorance. Or was it Chinese? Taiwan? Is she from Taiwan? Hong Kong? You know, it doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. He still got it wrong, and it was very funny.
We now come to the Leader of the Opposition, Keir
Starmer. Here we go. This is where shit gets interesting, I bet. I'm not going to fall asleep at all.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. I couldn't make out whether that introductory noise was cheers or boos. I joined. The trouble is, I don't know whether it's directed at me or him. I joined the Prime Minister in his comments about carers. Why did his Culture Secretary, I think hiding along the bench, say that...
Hey Normie, hope you're well. Nadine Dorries does say a lot of crap, and the incredulous look on that guy's face. I can never remember his name, but it's, yeah. And it was cringe, I know, but you know what? Politicians, they're not exactly known for being young and hip, right? Look at that. She's doing robot dance moves.
Successive Conservative governments left our health service wanting and inadequate when the pandemic hit.
So I feel that this question is a little bit unfair. So I'm going to give Boris the benefit of the doubt on this one because we didn't know what coronavirus would do. We did not know.
Mr. Speaker, everybody knows that when the pandemic hit, it was an entirely novel virus for which the whole world was unprepared. And nobody at that stage, nobody knew how to test for it. Nobody knew what the right quarantine rules should be, Mr. Speaker. But as it happened, the UK government and our amazing NHS produced, not only approved the first vaccine anywhere in the world.
Hey, Wasted Demise.
We were the first to
his
get
hair is always the
anybody's
same.
arms, Mr. Speaker.
I like it when his hair's longer, to be honest. It's funnier.
And we had the fastest rollout anywhere in Europe. None of which would have been possible if we'd listened to him.
It's true, to be honest, but I've got to give him benefit of the doubt on this one because genuinely we did not know how coronavirus would affect us. We didn't know. We really didn't. So it's not really it's not a fair question. I know what is fair, but in the context of this, you cannot say now in hindsight we should have acted differently because that's not an attack. That's just saying, in hindsight, though. No.
Prime Minister just agreed with the Culture Secretary. Perhaps she said it. They didn't deny it. Perhaps she said it because it's true. It starts with GPs. People were unhappy with the service they were getting before the pandemic. Not enough GPs. Too hard to get an appointment. That's why he promised 6,000 new GPs. But his health secretary admits he won't keep that promise.
That doesn't surprise me because GPs are a nightmare to get at the best of times. First of all, they get paid. Some get paid quite well, and they can retire early. Some can because of how well they get paid. Now, yes, they do work a lot, I fully agree, but it's a very different type of being a doctor, really, isn't it? And so they're able to walk away at a younger age, and that's what many want to do.
Despite the hard work of doctors, people can't see a GP in person. They're unhappier than ever with GP services. If GP provision was wanting and inadequate before the pandemic, what is it now?
The same it's always been, inadequate. I haven't been able to see my doctor in years. So now whenever I do a review on a particular prescription I have, they just do it over the phone. And they don't get a doctor anymore. I get a pharmacist instead. That's what I get. I'm like, okay then. Apparently I don't deserve a doctor now. That's the state of it. You don't have the doctors to do this.
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, I'm afraid he's simply wrong, because he's wrong about what we're doing. And of course, Mr. we've got to clear the COVID backlogs, and everybody understands that. Everybody understands.
Those COVID backlogs involve a lot of people missing operations because, yeah, we don't have the ability to do it, so people are going to have to go private to deal with it.
Everybody understands the pressure that the NHS is under, but they are responding magnificently, and I can tell him that thanks to the investments that this government has put in, we now have 4,300 more doctors. We have record...
Do we actually have more doctors, or is it just the same doctors brought back?
Numbers. We have record numbers in training, to the best of my we have 11,800 more nurses this year than last year, Mr. Speaker, and 72,000 in training, and that is because of the investment.
Just a quick thing. Also, again, with the nurses and other people, is this actually more, or is it people that were brought back because of lots of firings and cutbacks all those years ago? Are the numbers where they actually are meant to be, or are they numbers you are fluffing up to make look good when they're not actually that good? Because the latter seems likely.
That we put in, which was opposed by the party opposite. And the only reason we were able to make that investment, Mr. Speaker, is because we have a strong and robust economy, thanks to the decisions we took.
Mr. Speaker, of course he talks big, but I've got a letter here to the Prime Minister from the Honourable Member from Hereford and South Herefordshire.
Right, I don't know who that is, so I'm going to quickly go back here. Hereford and South Herefordshire, was that it? MP. Jesse Norman, a Conservative MP, voted in 2010, I believe, if I'm looking at this correctly. Assumed office as an MP in 2010. He's the incumbent for Hereford and South Herefordshire. He is Financial Secretary to the Treasury. On Brexit, he voted... he never said. So he never actually stated how he voted. Okay, that answers that. Right, back to the video then. And pull the chat up.
He said, this is you, Prime Minister, under you the government seems to lack a sense of mission. Yeah. It has a large majority but no long-term plan. Yeah. Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister's...
Boris will say the plan is to continue to fix things, which seems a bit contrary to the whole original thing of Hello Tilly, meow, to levelling up the nation, doesn't it? That's just
Big Plan Act is so tired that even once loyal MPs don't believe in.
Does
and
anyone?
It's not just waiting
Bar
for
humbug,
a GP.
that's what you say.
It's waiting for all NHS treatment.
Mm-hmm.
Take cancer. For over a decade, waiting times for cancer care have been going up. His solution was supposed to be diagnostic hubs. The Health Secretary has been on a victory lap this week. But here's the rub, Prime Minister. Since they were opened last year, 135,000 extra people are now waiting for scans and tests. Can he think of a better way to describe soaring cancer waiting lists than wanting an inadequate?
So The issue, I guess, in that regard is populations going up, which it always does. More people being diagnosed, going up. The resources are never going to match that, and I doubt it ever will, to be honest. I don't like that in the slightest.
Mr. Speaker, it is entirely right after the pandemic that people are now coming forward to get their cancer tests, and we have actively encouraged that, and that is the
That's
right.
also a valid point. People wouldn't have come forward during lockdowns, would they? Because they were considered, even if their cancer's terminal, they would have been considered low priority. Or borderline terminal, they would have been considered low priority. Or people who have been diagnosed and reported in the news as not even realizing they had cancer until they were tested for it. So how would you know you have it until you're tested? So actually there's a point there.
Right thing for people to do. But as a result of the community diagnostic hubs that we are bringing in...
God, that guy to his left looks really fucking miserable. Or our left. Looks like a miserable prick, doesn't he? Who is he?
Help people to get their
Anyone know? He's not
tests
Dominic Raab. Raab's
faster.
shiny head's
And
behind
above all,
Boris.
We can do that, Mr. Speaker, because we're hiring more radiographers. We're hiring
Oh, you're not going to meow this time, Tilly.
We're hiring
All right.
more professionals in our NHS because the
You
investments
all
that we
stuck
made,
your
which, as
donut.
I
There
say,
you
the
go.
party of Bevan tragically opposed.
Mr. Speaker, the problem is the cancer rates have been going up for 10 years, and they're even higher now. So blaming the pandemic just won't wash.
I think Boris's argument is that it wouldn't be as bad. Well, no, the argument is while it would still be going up, it would not have gone up as much had coronavirus not happened. It would still be up, though. It just wouldn't be as severe. Yeah, I hope that makes sense.
Perhaps the Culture Secretary was talking about the state of NHS buildings. Before the pandemic, the NAO said they were a risk to patients. The government's response, paint jobs and fix-ups, pretending that's the same as building new...
It's called Operation Turd Polish. It gets used a lot, but it is accurate. It's what we use to describe when we make Angela Rayner look human for a video. She looks especially polished over there.
Hospitals. The Treasurer and the Cabinet Office apparently don't think that the refurbs are even going to be delivered. Take University Hospital North Tees. The ceiling is falling in, the roof leaks, and staff have to hose down the pipes to stop them freezing over. Failure to fix wanting and inadequate NHS buildings is putting patients at risk, isn't it, Prime Minister?
So if we're not building new hospitals or improving hospitals, then yeah, this is really silly. Painting them doesn't do anything really, does it? It doesn't. It just makes them look newer, but it doesn't actually improve the hospital itself.
Mr. Speaker, this line of criticism is satirical, coming from a Labour government, attacking our hospital building programme, Mr. Speaker, where they were the authors of the PFI scheme that bankrupted so many hospitals. Mr. Speaker, what we're doing instead is building 48 new hospitals. Yes, we are.
I'd like to know how or where, because I don't know where that's happening. Because I remember them saying they were building new hospitals before, and they weren't new hospitals at all. They were just old sites that they had already got stuff on but weren't in use. Or they were add-on buildings to current hospitals and fobbing it off as a new hospital.
Thanks to the biggest capital investment programme in the history of the NHS. From memory, we put £33 billion as soon as we came in, then another 92 to cope with the pandemic, plus another 39 billion in the health and care levy. They opposed that funding. They opposed the health and care levy. They don't have a leg to stand on.
If they build a hospital in the Falklands, I mean, I'm not against that. That'd be funny. Where's your hospital? In the middle of a minefield.
Can I just say to both of you, you need to calm down, and there's two over here as well. The four of you could have a very nice cup of tea if you wish. Okay, Sam?
Oh dear. Prime Minister. Dear, dear, dear. Prime Minister. Pretending. Mr. Speaker, pretending no rules for Prime Minister, he chunters on. Pretending no rules were broken didn't work. Pretending the economy is booming didn't work.
And that also doesn't work
Pretending to
because
build-
the economy in this country is now considered to grow at a lesser rate to all major developed nations, only in front of Russia because of the sanctions against them. You can't say our economy is doing well right now because we're at the bottom of the totem pole.
40 new hospitals won't work either. They want him to change.
By the way, that won't help the
But he
economy.
can't.
Just saying, new hospitals won't help the economy in the
As always with this
slightest.
Prime Minister, when he's falling short, he just changes the rules and lowers the bar.
Ministerial code. That's sorry. That is a reference to the changing of the ministerial code, so MPs don't have to resign when they break them.
In March, he proposed changing the NHS contract.
Oh, sorry.
He wants to double the length of time patients can be made to wait for surgery, from 1 year to 2 years. On top of that, he scrapped zero tolerance of 12-hour waits at A&E. 24 hours at A&E used to be a TV programme. Now it's his policy. Well, it's Health Week. And he's telling all of them.
Order! Mr. Cleverly, we've got a tea party gathering. I'm sure you don't want to be part of it. I will hear the question. The problem
When he
is,
gets
so
to
do
it.
our constituents. I wonder if I were you, and I think one or two of you might be going early. What I would say is, look, I need to hear the question in the same way I expect to hear the answer. So please, Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, I bet they wish they were this organised on Monday. Well, Mr. Speaker, it's Health Week, and he's telling them he's going to turn over a new leaf. So why doesn't he start by scrapping his plans to greenlight wanting and inadequate NHS standards?
Prime Minister.
Mr. Speaker, look, I've got to tell him, I just think that this line of attack is not working, Mr. Speaker. But it's not working. It's not working because they refuse to approve.
Once again, I think the two of you need to calm down. So please, we don't want to see an empty front bench, Prime Minister.
Look, we've not only raised the standards in the NHS, we're not only reducing waiting times for those who have had to wait the longest, Mr. Speaker, but what we're doing more fundamentally is doing what the people of this country can see is simple common sense.
Are you
And
sure about that,
using our
Boris?
economic strength to invest.
What strength? Our economy has ground to a halt, you moron. By putting more investment, and I quote air quote that, into hospitals, you're throwing more money that we don't have into something that isn't going anywhere and doesn't make us money anyway. You are trying to find ways to sell the NHS without selling us at the same time by privatising aspects of it. Any asset this country has, you are trying to find a way to sell. Then not realising you then have to, buy it back or rent it off them, while, paying off a huge debt interest that you have accrued, which, by the way, last time a government came in, they spent the first term paying it off. That's what happened. Our economy is grinding to a halt, and you have not found a path forward, Boris. You can't try and constantly talk about how strong our economy is, because it's not. The Bank of England has already confirmed it is no longer that. Our finance sector isn't doing that well, so we can't rely on them. Unemployment being down does not help us either at this moment in time either. So really, what is the path forward, Boris?
Invest in doctors and nurses and get people on the wards, get people giving people their scans and their screens and their tests in a more timely manner and getting and taking our NHS forward. We are on target, Mr. Speaker, thanks to this government, to recruit 50,000 more nurses. Thanks to the investments, I'm just going to repeat this because he doesn't seem to have heard it so far. Thanks to the investments that party opposed. Patsy can now explain why they opposed them.
Keir Starmer.
Mr. Speaker, raising taxes because you failed to grow the economy isn't a plan for the NHS, and everyone sitting behind him knows it. Members of his cabinet admit that Conservatives left our health system wanting and inadequate when the pandemic hit. He's been in power for 3 years, and things are getting worse, not better. Fewer GPs, more waits for cancer tests, buildings still crumbling, and he's changing the rules to cover up his failure. And there is a real human pain as a result. Today I spoke to Hamza Semakula. Hamza is 20 and he plays semi-professional football for Hendon. He tore his ACL earlier this year. Because of the 2-year wait for surgery, he had to crowdfund for a private operation. I also spoke to Akshay Patel. Last year...
By the way, the whole having to go private to do this, that's not good. Especially for that, you know, considering the semi-professional nature there. The guy could possibly go further. You never know. And these kind of things, there shouldn't be a 2-year waiting list for that. There really shouldn't.
His mother woke up, unable to breathe. Akshay called 999 6 times. In his last call, he said, "I rang an hour ago for an ambulance as she had difficulty breathing. And now she's dead." Even he must admit that Akshay, Bina and Hamza deserve better than a wanting and inadequate government utterly unable to improve our NHS.
So that was remarkable, because all you have to do is mention someone passing away, and I promise you, once you actually introduce people outside of Parliament into Parliament for what they've suffered, everyone shuts up, because in that one instance, they suddenly remember, oh yeah, optics exist. How can I forget? Private companies want profit, they cut funds, employees. You know, you've got fair points there, Ola. You really do. Yeah. Problem is, if the only option forward is private, then you only have that option. And unfortunately, that's something Conservatives do favour, whether they want to admit it or not. They can brag about how much money they put into it, but it doesn't change the fact that the NHS has always been a financial black hole. So putting money into it doesn't really mean anything to anyone, really. Bureaucracy alone costs enough as it is.
Mr. Speaker, I think everybody in the House has sympathy with Akshay and the other constituents and their families and the other constituents that he mentions, Mr. Speaker, and I share their feelings. But when you look at what this government is doing, the massive, and I must say this to him, we are making colossal investments in our NHS.
It's not an investment; it's a sinkhole. Because to invest in it is means to improve it, but where does that money actually go? Some of it goes to private companies that we have to pay to borrow some of their machines for. Come on, this is not called investment, and you know it's not investment.
Cutting waiting times, we're raising standards, we're paying nurses more, we're supporting our fantastic...
You're not paying them more. You've taken them back up to where they were supposed to be before you took it all away from them.
NHS. And by the way, he continually came to this. I just remind him of this and said that we had the worst COVID record in Europe. Turned out to be completely untrue. He still hasn't.
Mate, you're skirting over that.
We're doing it, Mr. Speaker. We can make those investments because of the strength of the UK economy, because of the fiscal firepower that we have to deploy. We have the lowest unemployment now since 1974, and we are going to continue to grow our economy for the long term.
Yeah, you tell him, Boris, because that's what people were paying attention to. You get him, Boris. God's sake, this is cringe, isn't it?
Program in history for young people, raising literacy.
Can I get to the paper pervert now? Because this is silly. Okay, actually, you know what? I'll go to this guy.
Changing the subject completely, in North East Hertfordshire, we're very concerned about sewage overflows into our...
Hang on, why is everyone laughing? This is important. Sewage overflows are a big deal, and I know, you know, NHS is important, but sewage, come on. Also, can anyone see something out of place in this picture? Anyone at all? Because It is quite important. You'll notice it at some point, I'm sure. But there is something amiss here because it doesn't look right at all. Oh, and also, thank you very much for everyone that's turned up so far. I really appreciate it. Also, if you want to support the channel, that link from Wildling there in the chat really helps. Yeah, it's Michael Fabricant's hair. The blonde guy on the left. I know wigs are still a thing. Hello, Duskplanes. I get it. They're still a thing. Fine. His head is too small for it. Like, his head is too small for that wig. It looks weird on him because he's surrounded by people with shiny foreheads. Look around him. They all, except for maybe 1 or 2 people, have shiny foreheads. Like, come on. It looks strange.
Precious short stream. And this is damaging to the flora and fauna and also restricts the use of these precious streams for leisure. The Environment Bill included some important measures last year, and I welcome the fact that the government has consulted on its reduction plan for storm overflows. But when would we expect to see some meaningful improvements and some real reductions in the amount of sewage going into our river?
Yeah, well, I thank you very much.
No, Google, stop trying to turn on an
our sewage plants is the biggest investment
voice activated.
by any government.
Bieber carrying abomination. He is basically that.
Must do more, Mr. Speaker, and actually we already are seeing improvements, but the regulator is ensuring that the
if you hear a cat meowing, I do apologise.
To deliver on their obligations. We will not
oh no, Normie, I'm sorry. He's coming up now. Look, he's now. Stay for like a minute. Stay for like 1 minute.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Can I
Yeah, honestly, it's all fair, Duskplanes. It is a change of subject. I fully get that. Hello, Pete Hunt. Hope you're well. No, Tilly, don't stand on the keyboard. No, not on my keyboard, thank you. I don't want you accidentally turning the stream off.
myself with the remarks of the Prime Minister and the Leader of the Opposition in supporting our carers. Mr. Speaker,
touch that paper.
Week after week,
touch it.
I've called on
Put your hands on it and caress
I've
it
been
like
met
it's
with
your
a
wife.
wall of noise from the Tory benches. I thought they were trying to shout me down.
Collab with Tilly. Meow. Meow. You're gonna meow? 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 No? You're not going to meow anymore?
Speaker, it
Alright.
turns out that 41% of them have been cheering me on.
So, okay.
Mr. Speaker.
Keir Starmer may have gotten that cringy beginning bit wrong. Ian Blackford got it right. That's how you do it. They might have been cheering him on. I like that. I like it.
At least the numbers don't lie. 41% of his own MPs have no confidence in him. 66 of MPs across the House don't support him, and 97% of Scottish MPs want the Minister for the Union shown the door.
Yeah, but they will anyway because he's English. If he was a Scottish, if Boris was Scottish, they'd be like, only 3% want to get rid of you, but only because blood, yo. Which clan are you from? He's from the Johnson clan of the Fefethel, region of Scotland. He's a space side, all right?
How does the Prime Minister expect to continue when even unionist leaders in Scotland won't back him?
Because there's a resounding majority in other countries. Hello, Alfonso. Hope you're well. Don't kill the halls of injustice. I haven't killed it. I promise.
Prime Minister.
Just rebuilding my channel first. That's what I'm doing, Alfonso, okay? Be patient.
Words. And actually, Mr. Speaker, I want to say that the biggest and most powerful and effective advocate of the United Kingdom over the last time that I've been in has been that man there. Under his, I don't know how long he's going to last here as leader of the SNP, the Scottish National Congress. Long may he rest in place, Mr. Speaker. He is the Araldite that's keeping our kingdom together. I thank him for what he's doing.
He hasn't answered it, but all right.
Well, I can see to the Prime Minister. I can say to the Prime Minister that I'll be standing shoulder to shoulder with our First Minister as we take our country to independence.
Good luck with that. Oh yeah, actually, Alfonso, I repurposed my gaming channel, Omegon Plays, to Judge Moist. I am going to start uploading all my old Halls of Injustices there as a backup. 3 of them are currently there, so there's 120 something to go through, so it'll take a while. I'll upload them all there as well, just in case, and make my mind up in the future what I'm doing, because I do want to keep it going. I really do. I'll talk about it another day.
Mr. Speaker, the Prime Minister is acting like Monty Python's
Tilly, have you farted?
Black Knight, running around declaring it's just a flesh wound. And no amount of delusion and denial will save the Prime Minister from the truth. This story won't go away until he goes away.
Better?
For once in his life,
Yeah? Okay,
he needs to wake up to reality. Prime Minister, it's over. It's done. The Prime Minister has no options left, but Scotland does. Scotland has the
Does
choice
Scotland
of
have a
an
choice?
independent future.
How? You haven't got the legal mandate for it. But okay, interesting. I might be wrong there.
Because it's not just the Prime Minister that we have zero confidence in. It's the broken Westminster system that puts a man like him in power.
Man like him? I don't know what you're talking about. He looks very respectable. Look at that face. The hair sits so wrong. It looks like he's gone his cranium squashed.
Can he tell us? Can the Prime Minister tell us how it is democratic that Scotland is stuck with a Prime Minister we don't trust?
But you don't trust any Prime Minister.
A Conservative Party we don't support, and Tory government
You burnt your
we
tea!
haven't voted for since 1955.
Was 1955 Winston Churchill? Wasn't that who it was?
Prime Minister, Mr. Speaker, we had a referendum, as I've told the House before, in 2014. I think he should respect the mandate of the people. And you know, he keeps saying that he wants his independence for his country. Our country is independent, Mr. Speaker. Our country is independent. He tried 48 times to reverse it, the leader of the opposition. And the only way that independence would ever be reversed is if we had the disaster, Mr. Speaker, of a Labour SNP coalition.
Which couldn't work because Labour want Scotland to stay, and Scotland would only join a union with a coalition with them if they could then leave. Which then would mean if they did leave, Labour wouldn't have a majority in government.
To take us back into the EU.
Right, off you get, Tilly. Off you get. Thank you. Right. Oh yeah, I did that, didn't I? Sorry, I hit the wrong. My cat jumped off me. Okay, so we have reached the end of this stream. 20 likes, 32 viewers. That's disgusting. You should be ashamed of yourselves. I'm kidding. Thank you all very much for joining. Thank you for smashing the like. I really appreciate it. If you did enjoy, please smash the like afterwards or on replay. I don't mind. And if you want to support this channel, well, the link's in the chat there. I can't be asked to read it. Yes, anyway, hopefully back in next week. Again, thank you for everyone who's turned up. I really appreciate this, and I will see you all, well, potentially on Friday for a political recap stream.